What's up, guys? So today we're talking a little bit about SaaS products because I see so many people are struggling promoting their products and they're having a really hard time actually keeping people within their ecosystem. So I figured I'd make a video about that because I think it's important to understand how to position an offer and then also how to use that to then advertise it. So it's kind of a little bit of a mix kind of video today. So something that I want people to think about when they're talking about SaaS, right? We're talking about software as a service. And this is something that is kind of very quickly, just because of AI, it's becoming very like a saturated market. And I think people have a hard time with understanding like why you would build one in the first place. People are more interested in building the thing rather than solving an actual problem. And then I'm on Reddit a lot and I see these people, they're like, they'll spend $100,000 or 20 grand or a lot of money developing something. And then they wonder why there's nobody using their product. And they're like, I don't know what to do. I spent so much money. This is kind of for you guys because you need to build something that people actually want. So how do you actually do that? Well, you start hunting for problems that people actually have. So for instance, if you were to look at a large corporation, okay, something that's clearly done it right, you look at something like Zapier or Stripe or any of these bigger companies, right? They started from zero. They started, let's say, 15 years ago, but they started with a very simple solution to a problem, right? Zapier was helping to automate a task, something very simple. And then what they started to do was they started building out different pages on their site that were for different automations, right? So if you search for something like Pipedrive and you're looking for a Pipedrive integration that converts things to like QuickBooks or something like that, there's a good chance that they're going to show up in the results with their page of content of how to actually automate a task between the two, right? So it's kind of like working as a conversion process, less so automations, more so like I'm trying to turn a file from one thing into a different thing, right? And this is really true also, and in the case of small tools and stuff, is that you can do this with simple converters, right? Like PDF to JPEG, right? Or MOV to MP4, right? It really doesn't matter, but these are things that people are searching for because it's a problem that they need to solve. They need to figure out how to do something. And then you can put that in front of them, and then all of a sudden there's a utility where people are willing to spend a little money to solve the problem, right? If it's going to save them time because they don't want to spend 4 hours figuring this out, they're going to spend the $10 or whatever it is to solve the problem. Okay. I'll give you another example. 11 Labs, right? They do voice stuff. You can do AI voices, you can do generate speech to text, text to speech, different voices, different abilities to generate content with it, all this stuff, right? But what their problem, the problems that they solve, right? They also have a set of tools, and the tools are speech to text, right? Which exists all over the place, and vice versa. They also clean the audio up using AI. And there's a bunch of different use cases that they've grown into. But the bottom line is that they started with smaller tools that actually solve a problem. And I think that if you can figure out what an actual problem point is, and people struggle with figuring this part out, it's not hard. All you got to do is start talking to business owners and asking them what takes them the most time. What's the most annoying part about your business? Is it dealing with paperwork? Is it automating tasks? Is it picking up the phone, dealing with customers on the phone, right? There's a lot of phone bots out there. But the other problem here is, how do you stand out on your own? How do you actually be your own, sort of person in this space? Because that can get really tricky when everybody's got a phone bot, right? Again, it all comes down to who you're actually selling this to and talking to them and figuring out what they need in addition, right? So instead of just doing a phone bot, let's say you're helping somebody with a med spa. They own a med spa and they don't want to deal with the phone stuff. Well, what other problems are they having with that? Is it that you need it to book the actual person in the CRM? What CRM are they using? Does that have an API? Could you create something that actually has the phone bot that talks via the API to the CRM to actually book it in there for them, and it's going to send the email and it's going to SMS text the customer? That's the kind of stuff that people are willing to pay for because that solves a real problem. Now, is that going to be something that you're going to sell 50 of in a month? Probably not. But if you were to sell that to a singular business, right? Let's say it is a med spa. Well, they might pay you $500 a month for that or more. It really depends on what kind of deal you can work out and how valuable it is to them. But if they're giving you a hard time about the pricing, well, then boost the value. And how do you boost the value? You help more. So going with the phone bot idea, right? You've got your phone bot. It's going to talk via the API. It's going to book the actual call. It'll send an email. It'll send an SMS. What else can this thing do? Could we build a front-end interface so that the front desk can see it, right? Do we give them some kind of dashboard? Can we pull in stats? Maybe we could pull in sales stats too, right? But it all comes down from what the user needs. Do they need this? Maybe there's something else that I'm not covering. But the problem that most people are having is that they're not having that conversation. They're not really asking people what they need. And when you go into it by asking what they need, you're going to come up with a very bespoke product that only you have. And yes, is this super scalable? Maybe, maybe not. But it's a starting place, and it's somewhere where you could start earning $500 a month. And if you wanted to start promoting that, well, maybe now you start promoting this to other med spas. And that's your ad strategy. Your ad strategy is showing, hey, look how great this thing is. Check out the testimonials, check out the reviews, check out how useful and helpful this thing is. Book a call with us, and we'll talk further. We'll set you up with it. We'll get you on a free trial. You can try it out, etc. Anyway, drop a comment down below. Let me know if this is helpful for you. I'll catch you soon.